Hi, welcome to Christine's Corner. Today's my guest is Linda Blozie Wright. She's from CCADV, which is Connecticut Coalition Against Domestic Violence, out of Glastonbury.
Yes.
That was a big, long mouthful. I'm so glad that you came and so far away. Can you tell us about the domestic violence or what it is that you do?
Sure, and I just want to say once again, Christine, thanks for having me. I know that it's been a while, and
Yes,
you know, with
quite a while.
COVID and everything,
Yeah.
everything gets put on hold. So I'm happy to see you, and I'm happy to be here again. And so I have a couple of really kind of exciting things that I want to talk to you today about, if that's all right with you.
Oh, absolutely.
So the first thing I wanted to talk to you about is the hotline.
Oh,
And so what has happened, I guess it was just pre-COVID, that we moved our 24-hour helpline in-house because we were finding that what was happening is a lot of our domestic violence organizations had their own hotlines, and so they were sometimes struggling to answer the hotline, see people in person, and so we really wanted to bring it to one kind of central location. So we moved it in-house at CCADV, and our new hotline is called Safe Connect.
Safe Connect. That's
Yes. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Safe Connect, and then I'd like to give you the phone number and the website so that, you know, if anybody is out there and they need help, they can contact Safe Connect.
how about if somebody knows of someone, can they call too?
Yeah, so let me just go over it, and then I'll tell you a little bit about calling and reaching out and anything like that.
Yeah.
So Safe Connect is what I would say is kind of our triage hub now. So in terms of domestic violence services in Connecticut, we take a two-pronged approach. So most people enter our services by contacting us at Safe Connect. And Safe Connect is, at Safe Connect, there's about 30 to 35 advocacy coordinators that work there, and they answer the helpline.
Wow, that's a lot.
The nice thing about them is that as a collective unit of individuals, they speak 15 different languages.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and so of course, regardless of what language you speak, you can still contact Safe Connect.
Oh, that's great.
But what they do at Safe Connect is they're, like I said, they're the entry point of services, and when you contact them, they'll be able to triage and help you figure out what's going on and then move you on to other services. So the nice thing when we set up Safe Connect is that it's not just a hotline anymore. So in other words, yes, you can call us. And let me just give the number here. It's 888-774-2900. But also, Christine,
It should be coming up on the screen too.
yes, thank you. Also, you can, if you are reluctant to call, you can also text us at the same phone number that
that's
you're going to
great.
put on.
Text
So
me.
now you can contact us via phone, you can contact us via text, you can also contact us via email at safeconnect@ctcadv.org, or you can go onto the website, and I think you're going to put the website up. It's ctsafeconnect.org. And what happens is, just like sometimes when you're reaching out to your utility companies or other places, you're looking for stuff, a little pop-up comes up and it says, "Can I help you?" So you can go right onto the website and you can chat with somebody as well.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, so we have,
Yeah.
so now we have the phone number that you can call, you can text us, you can chat with us online, or you can email us as well.
Oh, that's
So we
great.
really wanted to be able to increase, I guess, the way that people can connect with us.
I know it's not always safe to call on the phone and someone can hear you.
Yeah, it's not always safe, but when you can't do that, or even for people, say, who may be hard of hearing or deaf.
That's true.
If they can't verbally communicate, they can communicate by text. So we really wanted to look at all of the different ways in which people might be able to communicate with us so that we had the widest kind of access to the services that we possibly can.
Wow. That's
Yeah. And I'm really excited about it. It's very busy there. And like I said before, we have a lot of different languages that people speak. So people don't have to be reluctant to call if they speak Spanish or Polish or some other language, because we have staff that can accommodate those languages as well.
Oh.
So there, when you reach out to Safe Connect, what they're going to do is they're going to ask you a little bit about your situation. Of course, just like any of our services, you're not required to give your name out. You can call anonymously. And this is if you want help, and then I'll talk about, you know, other ways in which other people can connect to us as well. So, but you know, if you would like to give your name, that's always helpful to us. But, you know, what we would do is try to figure out with you, ask you some questions about what's going on, get a little bit of a history of the experiences that you've had, your domestic violence experiences, and then, of course, most importantly, what we want to do is immediately figure out whether you're safe or not. So if you're not safe, of course, we're going to try to get you to safety immediately.
Of course.
And that may be just having you safely leave your home or contact the police or something of that nature. But if it's safe for you to call at that particular time, what we're going to really talk to you about is tell us, like I said, tell us a little bit about your situation, tell us what's going on, tell us a history, and then, of course, we're going to do some safety planning with you. And I know that, you know, you and I have talked about safety planning before, but basically what we want to do is, at least initially coming in when you're contacting us at Safe Connect, we want to assess for the risk. You know, what risk are you at right now? Are you at high risk? Are you safe and you can talk to us? Are you calling, is this your first time calling and you just need some information? Because sometimes people aren't necessarily ready to make a big move, but they do want to try to find out.
What would happen if they were to make that call?
Yeah, they want to find out if, you know, what their options are, what they can do right away. And so that's why when we are talking about the safety planning piece, we talk about, okay, so what can we do? How can we help you to stay safe right now? Because, you know, we do find that not everybody who is experiencing domestic violence can or necessarily wants to leave the relationship right at that particular point in time. Because for some people, they have to, you know, they have to gather up their belongings, they have to make arrangements, they really have to think through what they're going to do if they were to leave the relationship. Where would they go? What would they do? Of course, you know as well as I do, if they have children, you know, they have to think about the children as well.
Right, you need space for them.
Yeah.
To sleep,
so,
and school.
So then when we're thinking this through with them and we're talking about options, depending upon what they're telling us, and, you know, like I said, we'll lay out an array of services that might be available to them. What we also want to do is we want to make sure that when we're doing that, we connect them up with their local domestic violence organization.
Okay.
So that's the second prong of the work. So first they come through Safe Connect. We do an assessment. If you think about it, it's like you go to the emergency room and then we figure out what's going on, and then we connect you to the people who can help you best, the doctors that can help you best. It's that kind of a situation. So you'll contact us, we'll figure out what's good, how you would like to proceed, and then from there we connect them up to more intensive services. So, all around the state, there's domestic violence organizations. In every single town and city, there's an organization that's responsible for providing people with domestic violence services. And when I'm thinking about it, most of your urban centers will have a domestic violence organization. So like if you're going up 91, you'll see New Haven, Middletown, Hartford, and then downstate you'll see Fairfield, Stamford, Norwalk, Greenwich, and then we'll branch out to the Danbury area, the Torrington area, and then over to the east with New London, and then Willimantic, and Dayville gets a little rural, and then we have another rural organization out in the northwest corner up in Sharon as well.
Yeah, Bristol, New Britain.
Yeah, and then of course New Britain as well, which is, where I got my start in domestic violence services.
Yeah.
So when somebody goes to those services, there's a wide range of services that they can provide there. And those would be, of course, what people mostly think about is emergency housing. But that's not the only thing that gets provided. We have support group services there, so we have some services that are peer support services, and then we have some support groups that are educational. We have one-on-one counseling, short-term counseling, and then advocacy services. And so when I talk about the advocacy services, I'm mostly talking about things such as helping you with your medical needs, helping you with if for some reason your partner was arrested and you need some assistance in court. Any kind of thing that may require us to work with another organization so that collectively we can provide services for that individual. And then, of course, we do have children's programs and education out in the community as well.
Yeah, children's programs?
Yeah, we have some, in some of our organizations, they have children's support groups as well, especially when the adults are going into the adult group. We may have some age-appropriate support groups for kids as well. And then when kids come in to our shelters and our emergency housing with their parents or their guardians, of course we want to make sure that we are taking care of the children as much as we're taking care of the adults too.
Yeah, that's good. Do they still have art therapists come in?
I think in one of our domestic violence organizations, I do know that there is an art therapist there as well.
That's good.
Yeah, so we have a little bit of combination of a little bit of everything, really in our efforts to be comprehensive in working with anybody who's experienced domestic violence.
Sorry, just thinking of this. Some people have pets. Do you do anything to help them find a place for their pets? Or?
I know that some of our places, I just read this recently, that one of our domestic violence organizations, and I'm sorry I don't remember exactly which one it is, but you could call through Safe Connect, is going to put a little kennel beside their emergency housing, besides their shelter, so that if a person has a dog or a cat or something like that, then they can bring that pet with them.
Wow.
And that pet will be housed there.
That's
and then
great.
of course some places have connections with veterinary services as well. So if somebody needs maybe to board a pet or something, we will try to make those arrangements.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, we really want to, when we're working with people who are being victimized, we want to make sure that we're eliminating most of the barriers to getting services as well.
So some people want to know if they're not sure if they're being abused, or if they think if their partner, their spouse is maybe even sexually abusing them, thinking, well, it's okay because they're their spouse.
Right, yeah. Well, it's never okay. First and foremost, it's never okay to be violent, whether it be physically violent or sexually violent or abusive towards anybody. But I think that sometimes it's hard for people to say to themselves, I might be experiencing domestic violence, because they might not know all the warning signs. And so, you know, some people who identify it will call us at Safe Connect, but anytime any person has a question, it's not just, Safe Connect is not just exclusively for people who are being victimized. It's really for anybody, friends, family, victims, and survivors who want information.
It's a hard subject out there for anyone want to know more information. Just on the screen, there's the phone number on the hotline and the website. So you can call Safe Connect, and whomever you are, someone you know, or you're the victim, or you're not sure if you're a victim, please call Safe Connect.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So another thing that I just want to quickly talk about, if we have time today too, is we did pass some new legislation at the close of the last legislative session. I have to cough really bad, so.
Okay. Just drink some more water. So, so back in July, was it?
Yeah. So I'm sorry about the coughing.
Oh, that's okay. It happens to me. I think it's something in the air.
So starting as July 1st of 2021, what happened is that the legislature redefined the definition of domestic violence. So it used to be defined really as identifying mostly physical abuse, stalking, threatening, and harassing behavior. But they added some additional language called coercive control.
What is that?
So if we think about it, and we think about domestic violence, usually most people think about it as hitting, pushing, shoving, physical acts, or sexual. Violence as well. So what coercive control does is it identifies that there is a number of behaviors that are present in a relationship that don't always rise to the level of criminal activity. But they're still equally as dangerous and as abusive. And most of these behaviors run around such things as financial abuse, emotional or psychological abuse, and some forms of technological abuse. Because I think that, you know, in all the time that we've been talking about this, Christine, is that we do recognize that there are people who don't experience physical violence, but the abuse that they are experiencing has been going on for a long period of time, and more often than not, it's hard for them to describe what those behaviors look like. So I can give you an example of some of the language that defines coercive control. Because when the legislature added coercive control to the definition of domestic violence, they really also had to define what coercive control was. So it's really about doing such things as denying access to, say, bank accounts, financial accounts, credit cards, and things of that nature. It's forcing people to do things that they don't want to do, or that they have a right not to do. It's also allowing people to be able to freely come and go. So when we talk about coercive control, it's really such things as monitoring somebody's behavior, tracking them wherever they are.
So like they'll call them at the doctor's and say, where are you?
Yes.
And it's been 20 minutes, where have you been?
Exactly.
Or the bank, and they would look at your bank statement and see what time you got there and how long it takes to get
Yeah,
back home.
well, it's such things as denying people access to their own money. So oftentimes we see with victims, it can be a situation where even though they're gainfully employed, they have to turn over their pay to their partner who manages all the finances and won't let them have access to money. So if they want to have access to money, they'll have to ask for money instead of being able to freely take out the money that technically that they've earned.
Wow.
It's also doing such things as monitoring them in the household, so having cameras. It's monitoring, using GPS, monitoring their whereabouts, consistently and constantly texting them and harassing them. So you're right with what you said. If you say, I'm going to go down to the store, an abusive partner may say, well, it should take you 5 minutes to go to the store and 10 minutes in the store and 5 minutes, so you should be back in 20 minutes. So see how they're monitoring their behavior,
Yes.
and anything can stop. You could run into a friend, you could run into traffic, anything could make you spend more than 20 minutes,
Right.
out on a grocery store trip. But then that partner starts to text you, where are you?
Right.
And I'm thinking about a situation that I heard about lately where a woman was told what she could do in and out of the house, how much she had to say. For example, she had to answer the phone not more than 4 rings. Her partner told her what she could and could not wear. If she went to work, she would have to contact her partner, or if she was 5 minutes longer than her partner thought that she should have been, her partner was calling her, where are you, what happened? And when we think about some of these things, though, they can be easily disguised as, well, I was just worried that something might have happened.
Right.
So, when you're talking to an abusive partner, they'll say, well, I was just helping her to be the best person that she could be, or helping him to be the best person. I was just wanting to make sure that they were safe.
They always have a comeback.
Yes, as opposed to what it really is, it's those monitoring activities, it's those things that keep people trapped in their relationship.
How about, you might have already said this about isolation, like not letting them go to their certain friends.
Yeah, and isolation, and that's, of course, coercive control is about isolation as well. So it's really creating opportunities where your abusive partner will not let you go out and see friends and family. And, when we talk about domestic violence really being about power and control,
Yes.
isolating somebody keeps them in control, because what it does then is it really diminishes their support system. And ultimately what this abusive partner wants them to be is fully dependent upon them.
And they have low self-esteem.
Yeah, okay, and so what happens
is gone.
Exactly. And so that is a big piece of what we're talking about, kind of overall when we talk about domestic violence, is talking about isolation, trapping people in the relationship, of course, physical violence, sexual violence, and then technological abuse. And I will just say this quickly, is that technological abuse runs the course over everything. And so when we see technological abuse, it's oftentimes coupled with this coercive control, with the isolation, with the physical and sexual violence as well.
Well, thank you. You gave us full of information. So glad you came. It won't be so long next time.
No, hopefully not.
No, of course, COVID and everything going on, it's hard. So thank you for tuning in, and look at those telephone numbers and website. Good luck, and please call. God bless. Thank you.
Riverview Apartments is Bristol's two-time beautification award-winning residence community for adults age 55 and older. They offer 1 or 2 bedroom apartments with modern appliances, air conditioning, wall-to-wall carpet, and tiled floors. Both heat and hot water are included. Riverview also offers a wide range of activity rooms that include a billiard parlor and a spacious community room. It is handicap accessible with safe, secure parking for tenants and ample off-street parking for visitors. 860-940-6757 or riverviewbristol.com.